Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, Special Assistant to the Mayor for Community, Culture, and Belonging.
And I'm Mandy, and I'm the Communications Manager for the city.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
Today we have a very special guest from our city department, and we will talk a lot about local history.
That is true. I think sometimes they say to know who you are, you got to know your history. So this is going to be good. I think we're going to get to know Appleton a little better in this conversation. So this week's guest is Katie Stilp, local history librarian for the Appleton Public Library. Hey, Katie, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey, thank you for making a little time for us here on Appleton Engaged. Can you please share a little something about yourself and your association with Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Yeah, I'm from the region. I was born and raised in Green Bay, attended college in Green Bay, went for my master's in Madison, and as part of that, I had to do a practicum. Did it at the Appleton Public Library, and shortly after I wrapped up and graduated, they had a position open, which happened to be the local history librarian position, which is my dream job. So here I am.
Oh, you nailed it. Came out, got exactly what you wanted. It doesn't get better than that.
I try.
You try. Fair enough. Well, Katie, can you please tell us about your resource?
Yeah, so I work, of course, for the Appleton Public Library. We've been around in the city since 1897, though we do have roots dating back a little further than that, thanks to the Jones family of Jones Park fame. So the library, of course, has been a city resource for a very long time, but local history and genealogy is more on the new side, where we have this local history collection, and I run that local history collection and help people learn about their genealogy.
So when you say a local history collection, what exactly are you referring to?
So the common things that people are looking for are things like their yearbooks, city directories to figure out who lived in their house before, or that commercial property that you just bought, what businesses were there before, or, just random questions of like, who are the famous Appletonians, or when was the first sidewalk in Appleton created, or you never know what kind of questions people are going to ask you about local history.
So what is your background? I know you've studied librarian education, but tell me more about how you learned about the local history, because you has to be some sort of a very enthusiast to learn about what happens in Appleton and how it dates back. So tell me, I'm just curious at this time.
I always tell people, I didn't grow up in Appleton, so, you might think local history librarian, I can just ask her a random question about Appleton history and she's going to spout it right out. That's not me, unfortunately. My memory doesn't work that way. But I do know the resources that you can use to learn more about local history, and more specifically, genealogy. It's really a passion of mine. I've been doing genealogy for 20 years. So I got started as a part of a high school project that at the time I still had all 4 of my grandparents living. I had 2 great-grandparents living, that I was able to really dive into my roots. And through that, just got really into genealogy and decided I wanted to be the person that would help other people learn about their genealogy, learn about their roots, and have the same experience that I did in connecting with my family.
So, I know that the library is like this hub and plethora of knowledge, but how does the library help you learn about your genealogy?
Well, we have at least 2 genealogy series right now. One is the Find Your Ancestors series. So this has been going on since before I was even on staff, where every month we bring in a different speaker who will talk about a different genealogy topic like DNA or census records or, all kinds of things about genealogy just to teach you more about that given topic. And then I also teach the Genealogy Jumpstart series, which is kind of geared towards those beginners who maybe they've dabbled a little bit in genealogy or they've been researching a little bit, but they aren't really quite sure how to properly research, or they want to learn a little bit more about this given resource. So we kind of start at the basics of this is how you get started in your family tree. this is how you research a census record, or this is why you might want to look at newspapers for your family history, things like that.
What kind of questions normally you get? Like a lot of people, I may not know that, there is a section called where I can, for genealogy, where I can go and ask these questions. And sometimes people just don't know what kind of questions to ask. So, what challenges do you see, or just people know about it, they read before they come to you, or they just accidentally discover that, they can learn more about their genealogy?
Yeah,
How does
so
this thing work?
genealogy is actually the second most popular hobby. So we have a great interest of genealogy and local history in our area, that I think people just naturally are curious about where they came from or wanting to learn more about the city and the history behind the city. So they kind of come with me with those questions of those mysteries, like, hey, I never knew XYZ about my grandfather. I really want to see what resources the library can connect me with to learn about that and to solve that family mystery.
All right, so I feel like you're holding a lot of interesting secrets or details, right?
Yeah.
So what are your top 3 things that you've learned about Appleton that people would be surprised to know?
I wasn't prepared for that question.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, how about one?
Well, it's like a bad one. Like one of our former mayors killed himself.
Oh,
A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, no, I didn't know
And it's
that.
because of the library.
No way.
Really?
No way. I mean, it was 1900s, so it's our library, but, not the current library.
Do we have anything else?
Like one person asked me one time about like a tree ornament that was on a White House tree, and they had heard that it was made in Appleton, and there it was, which I thought was kind of cool, like to have that tied to the presidential tree.
I do think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like history isn't something that's done in a silo.
Yeah.
So who do you partner with to help learn about the history?
Well, we have lots of great organizations here in the Appleton community. Of course, the Appleton Historical Society is great. They have a new museum on West Franklin that they just opened last fall. There's also Hearthstone Historic House Museum, of course, home of the hydroelectricity. So that's a big thing that, Appleton has that claim to fame. And then, of course, the History Museum at the Castle, or Lawrence has a really great archives that they have lots of great resources for past students. And the city of Appleton was kind of created around Lawrence University, so a lot of rich history there that is kind of the beginning seeds of the city of Appleton.
That's true. I think a lot of people don't actually know that Lawrence is actually older than the city.
Yeah.
So what kind of events you do to normally let people know about these programs? I know you talked about you have genealogy jumpstart series. So what kind of periodic events does library get into that people know more?
Yeah, we have lots of events. Of course, I have my series, but then we do one-off series or one-off programs with the community. So like later this summer, we're partnering with the Appleton Historical Society to do an antiques appraisal event on July 26th. We are hosting Mark Moran, who was formerly on Antiques Roadshow on PBS. He's a really well-known appraisal person who will come and evaluate whatever treasures the people of Appleton have and kind of give you a little hint on what it might be worth. So we're just excited to see those treasures that you want to bring to us, and you can find more on our events calendar.
Ooh, I'm in. And let me tell you, I think I found a few treasures at some rummage sales. You just never know if you found treasure or something less than.
Yeah, you might have paid $1 for it and it's worth $1,000. You just never know.
Or I might have paid $10 for it and it's worth $1. No.
Yeah, you never know.
That actually is really cool that that's coming to our area. Katie, can you please tell us a story that will help our Appleton Engaged listeners understand the impact of your role and the things that you do?
Yeah, so I think all the time I get people following up with me after they've attended a program or met with me one-on-one to learn about our library's resources and sharing like, oh, because of this resource that you shared with me, I broke through that mystery that I've been looking for 4 years or 5 years to find, the name of my grandfather or great-grandfather. And this resource that is free at the library, I had no clue about it, that you showed me how to use it. Now I've used it and found this great treasure trove of information. Or, for example, recently somebody was coming to me and saying they were having issues finding a passenger list for when their family came to America. And so, yes, I could search for you and see if I can find it, but they had a really common surname, like Johnson or something like that. That was like, oh, this is like the needle in the haystack. So instead of me searching for you, I'm telling you, okay, these are some search strategies for you. Like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Did they maybe come through Canada before they came to America? All kinds of different tips and tricks that I've used that have worked with other people or worked in my own research, that person came a week later and came to the library and said, I need to meet you. You were amazing. I found that passenger list that I've been looking for years. That is that needle in the haystack that I thought I would never find, that one of your search strategies worked for me.
So my question is another curious one. What it takes for a librarian to become pro in local history? So if somebody wants to be a local historian just like you, what he or she should look at?
Yeah, I'd say just start looking at all the resources we have in the area, browsing through the things that we have in the collection and just approaching it with a curious mind. Like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of not my job to know all of the little facts and things that people ask, but I know the resources that might lead you to the answer of that, and then we'll find out together.
So that's really what it's about. It's not that a historian has to know all the things. The historian will help you figure out where to look for the things.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that's pretty cool.
It's true for all aspects of the library. I feel like no matter what your question is, even if it's not related to local history or genealogy, if it's just, something else, a librarian will help you find the answer.
So do you sometimes also work with other library outside the states? Let's say there is some sort of passenger list as you talked about, maybe something to do with New York or another coast. Did you have to ever work on any of the, cases you have worked on so far?
Definitely, if we don't have the resources available or it's kind of beyond what we have available in our resources, I will always point you to somebody at the State Historical Society or other, state institutions or other libraries that might have those answers or have an expert who's a little bit more knowledgeable in that given area than I.
Is there anything the community can do to be helpful?
I'd say just come to me with your curious questions, and I always encourage people to get started in genealogy sooner rather than later. A lot of people might think genealogy, that's like an old person hobby. It's something I can do when I'm retired because, it's a long-term project. I mean, you could be working at this for a long time. I've been working at it for 20 years. But like I mentioned earlier, I got started when I was very young, when I still had, really old living relatives. Maybe you still have a parent left or two parents left or that aunt or that cousin who knows some of those family, pieces of detail that are going to help you fill in that family tree and give you that really great start compared to if you wait till you're retired and maybe then you don't have that parent or that resource anymore because kind of once a person dies, the library in their mind is gone with them and all those answers to those questions that you could have are now gone.
Yeah, it's much better to kind of ask now than wait for tomorrow.
Absolutely. And we also have these really great oral history interview kits that we have at the library that you can check out for 2 weeks. So you can record a conversation that you are having with that person or even record your own memories of, telling childhood stories or telling about yourself, that you can record that, save it to your computer for those future generations to listen to.
Ooh, tell us more about that. What does that look like?
I love these. So these kits, they come with a digital recorder and a cord that will connect to the computer. And then in these kits, we also have a little manual that will tell you, of course, how to use the recorder, the basic functions. I give you some sample interview questions to kind of get the ball rolling and get that conversation started. And then kind of some sample tips and tricks of I have a journalism background, so knowing how to interview somebody, needing to have a quiet room so that you're not distracted by all the external sounds and things like that. So we have it in a nice little packaged kit that you just come to the reference desk and check it out, and then you can record that conversation.
So how busy are you on a typical day? Sometimes I'm sure it's a lot of time to look into the information. So do you do any scheduled appointment sometime? Because people may have questions and follow-up question.
Yeah.
So how do you tackle those on a typical day?
So my days are very busy, but I always have time for more, or I want to have time for more. I'm always curious to meet new people and help them learn the library resources. So I do have a form through our library's website where you can request an appointment with me, whether it's learning the history of your house or the history of the commercial property that you just purchased or learning about our genealogy resources or trying to find a photo of some, local history aspect. You can fill out that form and get in touch with me.
All right, so there's a form where you can kind of let you know in advance before I just pop up on you and have said random question that'll help you prepare for what I have to ask.
Absolutely. But of course, even as we're meeting one-on-one, you can feel free to pop in those questions and I'll do my best to answer them or lead you to those resources that I'm aware of.
Well, you know what? This is a good transition over to my next thing. Who can people contact if they'd like to learn more and the various ways that they can contact?
Well, that would be me. My attendees like to call me the genealogy queen, so especially genealogy-related questions. Everybody in the library refers you to me. I am the genealogy department.
I love it.
So they can get in touch with me through that online form through our website, apl.org. You can email me, of course, kstilp@apl.org. You can give me a phone, 920-832-6393 is my direct line. Or just pop into the library. I mean, I'm not there 24/7, but if you make an appointment in advance, you bet I will be there and ready and waiting to answer all your questions.
Now is the time for shout out. Who do you want to send your shout out to?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I am kind of I'm the one person in the genealogy department, the one local history librarian, but I'm fortunate to have a great department and community partnerships that awesome librarians and library staff, and then I've also kind of cajoled some coworkers to help me with local history projects or, researching certain things. So I'd like to shout out to Jeanette, Nani, and Jenny of the public services team that have always helped me whenever I've asked of them.
Katie, let me ask just one more question. Is there any additional information that you feel is important for the Appleton Engaged listeners to know that maybe we didn't ask a question about today?
Yeah, I also didn't mention that I also do a monthly newsletter. So if you're somebody who, wants to know of what events we have coming up, I send it out usually the first week of the month on what events we have coming up that month related to local history and genealogy. And then I try to offer some tips and tricks usually in it, like how to use our databases or learn more. And then I usually try to put a little local history nugget. So I love sharing little nuggets of, I got this reference question a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago and learned about this, or like the history of the street names. Like people are very curious, like why is Ballard Road named Ballard Road and who's the person it's named after? So I share those little tidbits in that newsletter as well.
And how do we sign up for that again?
You can go to our website, apl.org.
Okay. Katie, us here at Appleton Engage, we just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And please come and see me with your genealogy and local history questions.
Sure.
I'd love to meet you.
I'm curious, as I told you, I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to fill up a form soon.
All right, Appleton Engaged listeners, at this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. And we want to take a moment to say thank you to you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for caring about another amazing resource in our community, helping to make our community a better place. I think history is cool. And you always feel a little bit more connected to your community when you know the history of your community and how maybe you fit into that history of the community. So we definitely encourage you to go check out Katie over at APL, the Appleton Public Library. Now, Appleton Engaged listeners, you know what I'm going to say. It is simple. We are trying to become the #1 podcast in Northeast Wisconsin, and we can't do that without your assistance. It's really easy. Help us get there by doing a couple of simple things as you listen to this episode. If you've got suggestions for how we can make the episode better, please reach out to us. If you would like to be a guest, please reach out to us. Or if you would like to recommend a guest, please reach out to us. And you can reach out to us at belonging@appletonwi.gov. Once again, that is belonging@appletonwi.gov. Also, we think we have a very special resource here at the Appleton Engage podcast, and we think that the more community members that are aware of this amazing resource, the stronger we are as a community, the more connected we are. But for us to get in front of more eyes and ears, we need you to help us with our analytics. So that just means as you listen to this episode, go ahead and hit those 5 stars. If you see a subscribe button, hit that. And if you've got a few more moments, just go ahead and fill out a review. These are all things that increase our analytics, and the better our analytics, the more community members learn about this amazing resource known as Appleton Engaged.
Thank you so much, Katie, for sharing so much information. A lot of time people just don't know where to find the information on their families and what the traditions they come from. And I think you bridged that gap. So, Appleton listeners, please, please, please go to our beautiful Appleton Public Library, learn about the genealogy, and do look for our genealogy queen, Katie, because I'm going to look for her. So you have to just sign up a form, and you will get to meet one-on-one with her and learn all the precious information you were always looking for. And of course, sign up for the newsletter. We have so much in the community, so what are we waiting for? You need to go maybe today.
Yeah, and if you're a Stilp, reach out to me, and I will tell you how we are related.
Yes, that's true. So until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.